Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k 8th edition reveal video. Today we will be looking at Stratagems. Now, this is quite an interesting reveal. This is one of the first completely unique aspects of 8th edition that we have seen. So they've tweaked the morale system and they've tweaked shooting and tweaked the wounding system, but Stratagems are one of the first completely unique things to 8th edition. So they're quite interesting. Now, stratagems have been touched on before in the battle-forged armies, the new way of of getting CADs and the new way armies are going to be built and put together. Stratagems were hinted at in that, and Games Workshop said if you have a sort of if you have like a battalion, you'll get some command points. These command points can be used to can be spent on stratagems. Now, we have now got the actual reveal, so we know what stratagems are and what they will do and how they will work in the game. Okay, so first off, any battle-forged army can use stratagems. That's important to remember because we've only seen three ways that that CADs can be built now. I'm just going to call it three ways. Three ways detachments can be built. And apparently there's going to be 14. So any of the 14 detachments that are available to all armies will be able to use stratagems. It's only if you go unbound that you will not be able to use stratagems. Okay? Stratagem. That word's going to get old quickly. Now, essentially, the bigger the detachment or the more variety that you have in your detachment will give you more command points. So, for example, if you take the patrol detachment, that's a very small, compact force. You don't get any command points for that. If you take the massive battalion force, then I believe you get 9 command points, which is pretty big deal, is all I can say. Now, this is quite good. So what does this mean for the guard? Well, it's quite good because I went over in the detachment video how guard can really take advantage of the CADs that we've been shown so far. They can really take advantage of them. We will quite easily in a 1500 point battle, if the points stay about similar, be able to use some of the largest detachments, which means guard will have access to the most command points, probably, which means that we'll be able to utilize the most stratagems. Now, basically, there are 3 stratagems that we have seen. There may be more, but there are 3 that we have seen. Okay? And each one costs a different amount of command points. So, the most basic one is called Command Reroll. It costs 1 command point, and you can reroll any single dice. So it's not a huge deal, but if you absolutely positively have to bring down that rampaging defiler, and you've got 1 las cannon that can do the job, and you shoot and you miss, you can now spend a command point to re-roll that shot, potentially. If you have to, if you're facing a Space Marine captain, he's just got 1 wound left, and you just need to get that 1 dice, you've got that power fist and that commissar, and you just need to get a 2 to wound, and you roll, and damn it, you get a 1. Well, you can re-roll using the command re-roll. So interesting. That's the first one. The first one is very small. The command re-roll is small yet mighty, and I like it. The second, like the noisy cricket. The second one, counter offensive. This stratagem is used right after the enemy unit that charged has fought. Select one of your own eligible units and fight with it next. Okay? Counter offensive. Let's read that again. Stratagem is used right after an enemy unit that has charged has fought. Select one of your own eligible units and fight with it next. Okay, so I don't that looks kind of interesting, because what that means is your opponent, if your opponent instigates like a multiple charge, a long battlefield wide charge, then you can actually use this to interrupt their huge charge, because normally they would charge with all their units, and because all the units they charged with would get to strike first, and that could completely decimate your front lines. But what if you just have to hold them in one particular place? What if in one place you've only got one rank of guardsmen protecting your fire support? What if you need to hold them there? What if you need to do that damage? Well, you could use 2 CP because it costs 2 command points, and rather than your opponent going first in that particular area, you could go first. I've heard a lot of people saying that the counter offensive is a pretty big dealio. I personally don't see it. Please tell me if I'm missing anything. I believe you can only use each stratagem once per turn, so I don't know if you can just blow. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you can just blow like 8 command points in one go and just completely interrupt your opponent's charge. If that's the case, then fucking counter offensive is on. I will counter offensive till the cows come home. If you can only use it once per turn, then it's a bit like, okay, well, in this one single area, I'm going to survive, but otherwise I'm still going to get fucked by this massive battlefield charge. Because what you've got to remember is it's after one of... So your enemy is definitely going to get one pop at you before you can use this. That's what you've got to remember. Anyway, let's not get too dragged into it. It's interesting. It can definitely be used to get yourself, just to hold the line when you need to. It definitely be, if you've got a way that you can absolutely, you need to smash your opponent first, it can be used. But for guard, I'm not sure how useful it's going to be. I find it'll probably be much more useful for, let's say, maybe like if a Blood Angels Death Company unit gets charged, then they can be like, bam, I'm going next. I'm gonna get smashed in one place, and I'm gonna go next, and I'm gonna use my Death Company next, and I'm gonna win in that place. I think that's probably the case. Could be good for Bulgrins, could be good for Ogrins. And the next one is a pretty standard one. Insane Bravery for 2 command points. You can automatically pass a single morale test. The stratagem must be used before taking the test. So that gives you one way of ignoring battle shock for one turn. So at the very least, guys, we can definitely run one blob, because we could, in theory, if you really wanted to spunk all your command points in one way, every turn, if you've got 9 or 10 command points and you've got this blob, every turn you can just be like, yo, I'm going to ignore battle shock on that blob. I'm not taking any additional casualties. That's kind of powerful. So if you have like a fully tricked up, tooled up power blob, power fists and power weapons and melter guns out the wazoo, and you don't want to lose half of it to a bad shooting phase or a bad close combat phase, you can be like, yo, 2 CP, this blob's staying around. Insane Bravery. So it's pretty good. Now, Games Workshop have said that in narrative missions, there will be some additional stratagems that won't appear in match competitive play. Things like bombardment and proximity mines and really cool silence weapons. But apart from that, we don't know what other stratagems we're going to get. We definitely know these 3. I would be surprised if there wasn't. I would be surprised if there wasn't more than 3. I reckon there's going to be. There's only going to be. I reckon there's only going to be 3. So what does this mean for the guard? Well, it's interesting. Counter-offensive. I believe we won't. I don't think we'll find counter-offensive all that useful. I think you'll probably use it 1 every 10 games to piss your opponent off. I believe the command reroll will be pretty good. That could definitely go well with some orders out there. and I believe Insane Bravery will be very useful. Insane Bravery will allow us to at least field a blob, so that's really important. Pardon me, didn't mean to sneeze. So overall, yeah, stratagems pretty interesting. I like how they're an additional part of the game, but I don't feel like they're overpowering or overbearing. I don't feel like any one army is going to massively benefit from them more than another. I feel like all armies will benefit from them in an equal amount. The one thing I would say is the reroll any dice. I believe that would be really, really good on units that hit on a 2+. So if you've got a character that hits on a 2+ and you're on a duel with another character, you'll really want to go and use that command reroll. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me what you guys think. If there's any use for these stratagems that I haven't thought of, that I haven't covered, please let me know in the comments, guys, because I believe stratagems are going to be really key and really integral to effective play for the Guard. I think there's going to be some absolutely dirty tricks, some nasty tricks that these stratagems could be used for. So if you guys know anything straight off the bat that you think these stratagems are going to be really good for, that every Guard commander needs to know about, please let me know in the comments. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.